It is the dream of every citizen to own a house, as shelter is one of the basic necessities of life. With the swelling population and rural-urban drift, the housing deficit is obvious, and the prevailing perception is that it will be easier for the head of the camel to pass through the eye of the needle than for low or middle income earners to own a house, especially in the cosmopolitan cities where house rent is hitting the roof and the cost of land and materials are skyrocketing. Today's episode of the program focuses on housing in Nigeria, the challenges, the strategies, the efforts, the skepticism, and the reality. You certainly will want to have basic information about existing housing initiatives and the options available to all strata of society. Welcome to 30 Minutes on NTA News 24. My name is Mitaire Ikpen. The clock is ticking. It is often said that there is no place like home because home is where you feel at home. And that is why the average worker desires to own a house and be free from exorbitant rent. But how easy or difficult is it to own a house, especially for low or middle income earners? We will find out in this first report by Lydia Sampson.
In his book, Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela had this to say about his house in Orlando, West Soweto. It was the opposite of grand, but it was my first true home of my own, and I was mightily proud. Like food and clothing, housing ranks first among the three basic human needs. Its availability is very crucial to the welfare of every human.
Abuja as the federal capital, we expect it to be expensive. And because what is on ground presently, I've not seen anything at all that will make it to have it to come down in Abuja. Because even the monetization, especially the civil servants, the monetization policy they did was not transparent. The one they did, they started with some people. It did not go around. Most of the civil servants are floating everywhere. No help for them. Some other people, their families are in their respective villages. They stay here alone, either squatting or finding how to make both ends meet. And it's a very difficult thing.
These days, so difficult to afford these items these days, like zinc, all those kind of things. It's very, very cement. All those kind of is difficult for someone to obtain them.
Ironically, for many, owning a house of their own has continued to be a mirage due to the high cost of land, housing, and building materials.
You see a lot of estates built, nobody is living there. You go to Galadimawa, you go to Sun City, a lot, even in Maitama exits, Maitama exits, there's a lot of houses there. We expect this government that when they come in, at least for the sake of the masses, they would have laid taxes on those houses so that the owners of those houses will come out. Is either you reduce your house to give it at a cheaper rate, or government will take over the houses and place them on a prices. Now, like me, a petty trader like me, selling vegetable and plantain, I can't afford 1.5 million to live in a house. I have 5 children. I'm living in a 1-bedroom flat, and it's not comfortable by me. I need to get a 2-bedroom flat. For me to get a two-bedroom flat, it's 600,000, and I can't get it from this because I'm dealing with my business with loan. Bank wants to collect their interest. You sell, you don't sell, it's not their business. Then come to a level 14 officer in federal government work. Check the means of transportation to that office. It's a huge amount of money. You pay school fees for 1, 2, 3 children. You have 2 children in university. You have for private schools. It's on a higher side.
The performance of the housing sector is said to be one of the yardsticks by which the health of a nation is measured. Housing markets and housing construction in various economies have served as an engine of growth. The housing sector therefore continues to typically play a leading role in economic recovery from depression leading to sustainable development. Housing construction also played an important role in urban economies of developing countries, creating employment, especially for unskilled labor.
The land is too expensive, and all the building materials, everything is just expensive. The price of this is too high. They have to bring it down so that we can afford. If I imagine cement, you know the amount of cement now, so they have to bring the price of this down so that we'll be able to do one or two things. But by the grace of God, we know we own our own house in Abuja here.
The house in Abuja is very expensive, oh, and I'm not living in my own house. House rent is another thing. Everything is expensive. Even to save money for maybe like trying to get land is another thing. The one you are saving, you are taking from it to cover other things again. So meeting up is another thing again. Government should be the ones to work on it, not people selling building materials or other things. If things are cheap, one will be able to get land cheaper, not on expensive on expense rates.
Now, you know, Abuja is a capital city of Nigeria. So it's not necessary all of Nigerians poor or civil servant or a business person that should must have possess house in Abuja. It's not necessary. Some have possessed it now, but some will just go to Nasarawa or Niger.
But if
Close
I
by.
insist as a civil servant, what will stop me? Is it that the place
It depends now. It's hard. No, it's not the matter of expensive now. It depends the location that you need to have a house out there. So it depends now the locations now, and your capability of owning the house now. So it depends. So if you know you are a civil servant and you are doing some business aside, so you can make it.
In Nigeria, however, access to affordable housing has largely remained an unfulfilled dream to the vast majority, most especially the middle and the lower class of society.
There are so many factors stopping, not just me, everybody. One, it could be that as a result of not having the resources to own a house. Two, not having anything to do. There are just so many factors.
It's because the building material is going up every day. So you cannot even blame the government for increasing the housing they want to sell to people. Building material, then getting land in Abuja is not that easy, especially to get a genuine land that the other people, this chief will not tell you is their own, the Guari people will not say is their own. So to get a genuine land in an estate or in an environment is very difficult. So those are the things. And by the time you acquire the land again, it depends on the area you want to live. Because most people want to live in the center, city center. They don't want to go to the village side. You cannot, a house in Kubwa is not as cost as in central Abuja. Sure you understand? So if people can move there, maybe by the end of the day, when after the train is available. So why coming to the center? To me, I live in Kubwa before when we come to Abuja, and I still admire the place. It's a very, out of the old satellites in Abuja, Kubwa is the best satellite sun. Well layout, everything there, whatever you want, and the environment is very conducive.
The cost of things in Abuja is too much, and even the land, to get land is a terrible thing. Talk less of having my own house. But if government do it for me, I'll be happy.
Housing deficit continues to grow, especially as the country's population is experiencing exponential growth, making various well-meaning interventions by government look like a drop in the ocean.
Better work, better business. Now you go make us get, everybody go get a house for Abuja. Now everything costs. Market no move. Work, they no increase their money. Now the thing will cost them. Everywhere, come they high. Person to get house for Abuja, they high.
If they come to build houses just open up estates. You understand? If you open up estate, direct it really to the people who needs it, and not for you to open up estate and you give it to other people. You understand? Because they are well placed, they have the connection or whatever. If you are giving housing for, let's say, Minister of Interior, Minister of Water Resources, let it be for the workers there. You understand? By the time you do that, every worker in every ministry or parasita, we now know that they are being housed here. Once you have a housing where you are living, education and health of you and your family are taken care of. Believe you me, this country will be good for it.
The right to adequate housing that is safe, secure, healthy, and affordable and inexpensive is enshrined in the UN Habitat Agenda with the goal of providing adequate shelter for all. Crucial issues affecting housing in Nigeria, respondents say, include inadequate access to finance, slow administrative procedures, and the high cost of land registration and building materials.
Make a call am 20 years for Abuja here.
In our village today, they do this business for 20 years. How if
I don't get house.
Make you tell me again, if in our village today, what do you mean?
If in a village a day, I for don't manage get house
Of your own.
for my own because I don't go buy land. I will get house land free. Start to mold stand a block. Take him do my house. And the thing I go tell government make it help us make everything dey easy for Nigeria.
You have to plan yourself. I'm already planning myself about that. It's very necessary because it will save you a lot of stress. Paying house rent in Abuja is not easy. But if you have a lot of stress in your mind and you enjoy it, so everybody in Abuja should make a plan about that so that to be easier for us. I wish government can help us too, as in building a lot of low-cost building for people to come and buy and live in it. To be easier for us, cost of living in Abuja, the most important part, most difficult part is the house rent. But if you can have your house, other things can fall apart. Can be easy for you to achieve.
Ironically, unoccupied houses continue to litter Abuja metropolis and other major cities when underprivileged persons lack shelter.
The central bank will draw the money back and they didn't give it again. Why not them build estates at a cheaper rent? At least me, I can afford 200,000 to pay a 2-bedroom flat. No matter how hardened it is, I can afford that. We have estates. Let them put them on taxes. They should start paying taxes for those empty estates they have there. When they start paying, they will reduce the prices. So we will leave the village and come to the town. Because me, I'm living in Lugbo village and it's not comfortable by me.
I wish that if the government would subsidize the cement and other things so that it could be easy for us to build a house, because an average civil servant cannot easily build a 1 or 2 bedroom house, which is a pension, because the pension is maximum maybe 2-3 million, and 2-3 million cannot build a 1 or 2 bedroom flat in Abuja.
For the team in low-income earners, the dream to own a house of their own is one of the hope will be realized too, as government has initiated a number of initiatives towards addressing housing deficit in the country.
Thank you, Lydia, for that insightful report. No doubt, home is shelter from all the storms of life, and it is the wish of many Nigerians to change status from being tenants to becoming house owners. But what are the prospects and the options available to Nigerians for affordable housing? Thomas Mitaire will provide insight in this next report.
Nigeria has its share of housing deficit just like every other country around the world. The federal government, however, commits resources annually through budgetary provisions as part of efforts to bridge the housing deficit in collaboration with state government and the private sector in various parts of the country. But what impact is this synergy having on low and middle income earners in the country?
We must confirm the status of your age or years in service, and that has to be through correspondences with your employer. The second issue is the house you are submitting, the title document. We must carry out legal search on that title. We must equally carry out due diligence on the approved building plan you are submitting. There has to be a estate surveyor's valuation reports. They go to site, make sure that the value you are attaching to the property is justifiable, and equally the status of the house. Is it a 100% completed house, or is it an ongoing project?
Through several intervention programs and housing initiatives, the provision of affordable shelter is gradually gaining spread nationwide.
Our desire and our commitment towards improving the human condition and our message of change have another facet beyond job creation. It responds to those who have long aspired to own a home, and that dream has now come true.
We thought it was not possible.
Now, but you can see that Mr. President has matched his words with action. He has delivered through his major vehicle, which is the Ministry for Works and Housing. Only recently, affordable housing units were inaugurated in Nasarawa, Delta, and other parts of the country by the federal government under the National Social Housing Program, which is a bold response by the Buhari administration to tackle the adverse economic health challenges faced by Nigerians due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is also an integral part of the federal government's economic sustainability plan.
The first phase of the program commenced in 2016 in 34 states, including FCT.
We have also offered these housing units to members of the General Republic in a non-discriminatory way by opening a national housing portal.
The National Social Housing Program brings together experience from multiple stakeholders to develop a sustainable and impactful solution to housing and unemployment in Nigeria.
And again, your contribution to the National Housing Fund scheme must also be verified. So these are part of the checklist.
The federal government, through the Federal Housing Authority Mortgage Bank, is also working frantically with private developers to achieve the slogan, Housing for All. The idea is that through access to mortgage loans, low and middle income earners benefit from different categories of affordable houses that is in tune with their financial status.
For the Federal Mortgage Bank funded, Family Home Funds funded, FHA funded, they are to be delivered at 100% according to designs and specification templates approved.
While the options of mortgage loans is available, a lot of Nigerians are still in doubt and are hesitant to approach the relevant agencies because they conclude that it is for some privileged persons in society and beyond the reach of low or middle income earners. This perception is captured with the explanation that anyone can own a house in any part of Nigeria through a mortgage loan with pocket-friendly and long-term payment plan.
To narrow down affordability, we encourage developers to deliver at 80%. 80% means the external finishing is done and you'll be allowed to finish your floor, you'll be allowed to finish your roofing, and you'll be allowed to finish your toilet or plumbing fittings and electrical fittings. The idea is, we segregate between shelter seekers and home seekers. Shelter seekers are people who want roof over their head, and then home seekers are those who want some degree of luxury. So same design, same location, different cost. There are floor finishing that could cost you 5,000 naira per square meter, and there are those that could cost you 100,000 per square meter. So most of the times the developers, have a flamboyant thinking that they want to leave their signature on a certain project, but we are concerned about affordability. So we brought out that to scale down the challenge of affordability.
The private sector is also playing its role to complement the effort of government to provide affordable shelter for the comfort of Nigerians.
The housing deficit in Nigeria is very real. We've been banding figures in the past, but for purpose of sanity, I will refuse to mention figures now because it's being contested even by the Minister of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Therefore, the Association of Housing Corporation of Nigeria has set up a committee to verify these figures and come up with a realistic figure, which we are going to make available very soon. So based on that, yes, I admit that there is huge housing deficit in Nigeria. And the real estate private companies or the real estate development companies are in a position to help government ameliorate this situation. That is the real thing. Then on their own, they have been able to grapple with some of the myriads of problems that militate against serious housing delivery in Nigeria, ranging from acquisition of land, titling, and even, of course, financing, which is the real answer to housing development.
In spite of the various efforts at bridging the housing deficit in the country, the sector has numerous challenges which key players grapple with. Housing developers, however, believe that with sustainable housing policies and committed implementation, the challenge of housing in Nigeria can be surmounted over time.
There is what we call KYC, know your customer. We must equally carry out due diligence on you regarding all the documents you submitted, from the payslip to your appointment to your affordability, because people will supply a payslip, meanwhile they're indebted to cooperative society, they have taken loans, sharp loan, and so on and so forth.
Starting with finance, we have two demands for finance for real estate. One by the real estate developers, which is construction finance or development finance. Next is the purchase finance, or what we call the mortgage finance, for the purchasers. For the developers, our banks are not lending to the real sector, because the real estate development sector is such that calls for very friendly financing. The tenor must be long. The interest must be single digits for it to be meaningful. If you want to get a construction loan that you are having a tenor of less than 10 years, it puts unnecessary pressure on the developer, and he may even default easily. But if you have a loan that has 10-year tenor and single-digit interest rate, you are in good state as a developer to continue to churn out houses. What do we have here in Nigeria? We have construction loans that are between 2 years and 5 years maximum. For most banks will not give you more than 3 years. And the interest rate is totally 2 digits, ranging from 25%, which is a killer. Yes, but the truth is that the real estate developer must pass these costs to the end buyer or the end user. So that is why you have the problem. But even with that, it's also a cash and carry business anywhere in the world. Even in the US, it is not the developer that creates the mortgage. The developer churns out his houses and keeps selling. Whereas the mortgage banks make mortgage loans available to purchasers. So there's a seamless relationship between construction loan and developers and mortgage loans and buyers. Such that what you do that abroad, somebody can, even once you have a visible means of livelihood, maybe you have a work, you have a job, and your credit rating is very good. Even if you are starting work for the first time today, you're entitled to, you will get a mortgage finance. Therefore, and most times they want you to deposit 5%, 10% of the cost of what you are buying once they have done your appraisal. And the mortgage bank pays the entire money to the developer. So some people say, abroad, you don't pay at the go. No. Yes, you don't pay at the go because you are paying back to the mortgage companies. But the developer collects his money 100%. So it's also a cash and carry business there. So what do we have here? People don't have access to mortgage finance. And the developers must collect their monies on cash and carry basis. Therefore, you see the challenge.
There is also strong advocacy for state government and even the local government across the country to complement the effort of the federal government so that affordable housing for all will be a reality.
Indeed, there is collaboration between government and the private sector at expanding the options available for affordable housing. The choice is yours to key into any of the housing initiatives that matches your income. Thomas Ugbeteri's report concludes the program for today, and you can be sure we will come your way again with another interesting topic on 30 Minutes. I am Mitaire Ikpen. Bye for now.